Here's another of those songs that you don't immediately associate with a single acoustic guitar, but it boils down really quite nicely. I was surprised to find the originals in the key of D, which isn't a key I'd normally associate with big ballady orchestral torch song type things as sung by Frank. But yeah, we're in D, which is okay for the guitar, but it would put us on the top 4 strings for our key chord, at least with the capo on the 2nd fret playing as if we're in C. That at least brings that 5th string into play and gives us a slightly more mellow sound. We've got a fairly simple structure, 2 verses and a chorus, another verse and another chorus. The verses are quite long, 16 bars, so it's 2 lots of 8 bars, 2 halves to the verse really, and then a 12 bar chorus, which is a little more unusual. On the original, Frank kind of goes off on one a little bit at the end, and he has this sort of orchestral grand ending. I'm going to just curtail that a bit. I'm going to round off the 2nd chorus as the 1st one ends. There's also a 2-bar intro just on the chord of C. We'll look at that a bit more when we look at a picking pattern I've got prepared for you. But for now, let's just carve out the chords for the verse. For the first 4 bars, we've got this descending bass line, 3rd fret of the 5th string, and now the end is near, and now I face the final curtain. Now we just need to keep an eye on that. That should help us get the chords into place. So it's a bar of C. The melody note, by the way, is the open 3rd string if you want to pitch that. Ba-dee. Then we're going to play E minor with that B in the bass. Da-da-dee. Now I've got this. E minor 7 flat 5 over B flat, which is a handful or a mouthful, but it's quite simple. I'm just doing this. I've got my 1st finger on the 1st fret of the 5th string, little finger up on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Okay, so I've still got that open top string, and I'm going to round this off with an A7. But the melody does this. Now, as long as you're on na, in the first verse, the lyric is curtain. As long as you're on that note, you really want an A7 sus4. So I've written that in, but I've written 2 beats for the A7 sus4 and 2 beats for the A7. I just want to say, move on to the A7 as soon as you're moving on to curtain. You don't have to leave that for 2 beats. That's not really what the music does. I'm just trying to support the voice here. So those first 4 bars anyway. And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. There we go. Next 4 bars, my friend, D minor, and then I'm going to play D minor but with a C in the bass. So my little finger is going to take over on the 2nd string, 3rd fret. 3rd finger's coming down to the 3rd fret of the 5th string. So I've got a C in the bass there. Now I've got G7 with B in the bass, so my 2nd finger is going to play on the 2nd fret of the 5th string. I've still got my 1st finger up on the 1st fret of the top string, and that note on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string for all of those. My friend, I say it clear, I state my case of which I'm certain. So that's the next 4 bars. So that's half of the verse, so we're doing pretty well. Now, we've got half a bar each of C and C major 7. C major 7. I lived a life that's full. So I just want to take off the 1st finger from the 2nd string for the C major 7, and then I've got a C7 for a bar. I've travelled each and every. Now here's a chord you'll see a lot in jazz. That's the highway. Highway. D minor 7 flat 5. You could play it just here, barring across the top 3 strings at the 1st fret and adding the open 4th string. That's exactly the same notes. I just think it sounds a little more brittle there. Anyway, I've lived a life that's full. I've travelled each and every highway or highway. It's the same thing. Now we come back to C, and we're going to end the verse this way. But more. This is a C chord, but with a G in the bass. And because I'm picking in a moment, I'm not worrying about the 5th string, but if you were strumming this, you either want to take that 5th string out of circulation by just muting that 5th string with the underside of your 3rd finger, or maybe just put the little finger there and adding the C there. More. And then we're going to play G7 sus4. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to keep that first finger there, and I'm adding a note on the 3rd fret of that 4th string. More, much more than this. Just half a bar each. But it's a bit like the A7 sus4 to A7, G7 sus4 to G7. I did it my way. And this is a chord you won't see very often. I'm calling it F6 over C. Really, it's just like an E shape, moved up a fret. And I'm adding my little finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. I'm going down as far as the 5th string, so I'm just playing the middle 4 strings. My way. So that's the whole of that. More, much more than this. I did it my way. Because this shape's a little unusual, and because it's kind of nice to do, I'm going to show you something quite cute that you can do here, just at the end of the previous bar. Okay, that follows the vocal line, so let's have a look at that more closely. Just on the last 2 beats of the previous bar, where we should be playing G7, I'm going to play the 2nd and 4th strings open. Then I'm going to use my 1st and 2nd finger where they would be for a C chord, that is 1st fret of the 2nd string and 2nd fret of the 4th string. Now my 3rd and 4th fingers are going to take over on the 3rd fret of the same strings, the 2nd and 4th strings. And if I have my 3rd and 4th fingers there, then my 1st and 2nd fingers just need to be added to that. They just fall into place, and that is my F6 over C chord. More, much more than this. I did it my way. Okay, and you can add that when we look at the picking in a second. You'll see you can integrate that too. There are 5 places where you're going to play this, because this phrase, well, I did it my way, comes at the end of each verse, but also at the end of each chorus. So it's worth kind of just maybe customizing a little thing there that we can use to give it a bit more character. Okay, that's the whole of the verse. All right, let's look at this picking pattern. So here's the picking pattern I've got. I'm dividing the beat into 2, so we're playing 8ths, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you might think of it in 2 halves. The first half, my thumb's playing whatever the bass note is, so for C that's obviously the 5th string, and then my 1st finger's going to play the 3rd string. 2nd finger's going to play the 2nd string, and I'm going to come back to that 3rd string with my 1st finger. Now the second half is exactly the same, except instead of the bass note, my 2nd and 3rd fingers are going to play the top 2 strings, following up exactly the same way, 3rd string, 2nd string, 3rd string, as we had in the first half. So bass, and then the top 2 strings. That's quite simple. It gives us that steady, stately quality, and it's very versatile. We can use that for all the chords we've got here. For D minor, obviously the thumb is going to be up on the 4th string. For F, it's going to be down on the 6th string, and there may be 1 or 2 kinks that we need to look at as we go through, but let's just pick through the whole of the verse and see what happens. And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. Yeah, here we've got 2 chords per bar, but because the difference between them is on the 2nd string, I can catch that difference straight away with those 2 top strings. So I can just keep picking the same pattern there. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, which I'm certain. Live a life. Yeah, and again, 2 chords in this bar, but again the difference is on the 2nd string, so I'm catching that straight away. I've lived a life that's full, I've travelled each and every highway. Now, I have to move my picking fingers down from the top 3 strings to the 2nd, 3rd and 4th for this one. Just because I'm not using the 1st string in my chord shape. And more, and I'm going to stay there actually now, I reckon, for the next little bit. 2nd, 3rd and 4th strings for my 3 fingers. More, much more than this. I did it my way. You can see how that integrates into the picking pattern. And landing on that final C, again, I'm going to keep my 3 fingers down here. That just makes it a bit more consistent. And more, much more than this, I did it my way, that kind of a thing. As we move into the 2nd verse, I'm going to switch back to the top 3 strings. I mean, that's a little detail. You take that with a pinch of salt, but that's what I'm going to do. So once I get down to the 2nd, 3rd and 4th strings with that D half diminished, I'm going to stay there. For the rest of the verse. Regrets, I've had a few. And so on and so on. 2nd verse is exactly the same as the 1st verse. All 3 verses are identical in terms of what we play where and when. The verse is done, the chorus, 12 bars. So 12 bars of chorus. Some of this is recycled material. We've got 2 beats of C to C major 7, just like we had in the 2nd half of the verse. C7 to F for 2 bars. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. Now, D minor, G7, E minor, A minor. But through it all, well, there was doubt. I ate it up and spit it out. Okay, it's getting a little high, never mind. D minor, G7. I faced it all and I stood tall. I did it my way. Okay, that's the whole of the chorus. Let's see if I can do that with the picking. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, down, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all and I stood tall and I did my way. Okay, way too high, never mind. But that's it, that's the whole of the chorus. The 2 choruses are the same. Then we just get into the 3rd verse. And we finish with a chorus, different lyrics. What is a man? We got all this stuff. What has he got? If not himself, then he has not to say the things, all that stuff. But otherwise, the chorus, 2nd chorus is exactly the same as the 1st one. 2 bars of intro, verse 1, verse 2, chorus, 3rd and final verse, final chorus. And for me, I'm just going to do I did it my way. That's about as grand as I'm going to get. Okay, that's everything I've got. Thanks for watching. Let's have a little playthrough. 1, 2, 3.